Hello, everybody. I am Ron Miscavige, and this is Life After Scientology. And we have another episode for you today. This is going to be the part two of Sarita Shoemaker. If you remember, we did part one about a week ago. So we have her back. Thank you very much for coming back, Sarita.
Glad to be here.
Okay, and let me get a little bit business out of the way. But first off, I really want to thank Karen De La Courier for getting us together. This was very nice of her because you're a delightful person to speak to, and you have a hell of a story. And I appreciate it, Karen. If you're watching this, note it was really appreciated. And you've gotten me a couple other gifts, and
We can do the
I think it's what's that?
I'll do the heart for Karen.
Oh, okay, there. Yeah, so I don't know how to do it. Anyway, thanks again, Karen. Appreciate it very much. And let me get a little business out of the way, and then we can go into the interview. As you know, if you're not a subscriber and you do subscribe, please press the little bell because when we have a new video of this or any of the other ones I do, you'll be notified. And if you care to contribute to the ongoingness of this program, you can go to my website, therealronmiscavige.com, and you can become a patron or you can make a one-time donation through PayPal. And it is very much appreciated if you do that. Okay? So now, on with the interview. And Sarita, I think the last time we spoke, you mentioned that you had gone to Flag and you signed a Sea Org contract there. And then let's continue on from that point.
Yeah.
You went because then you went into the EPF. By the way, the EPF is the Estates Project Force, and it's like an introductory course or time spent welcome you to the Sea Org. You do manual labor, and you spend about 5 hours a day listening to L. Ron Hubbard do lectures, and it's introducing you to the Sea Org. So let's take it from there, okay?
All right. So just to remind everybody, at the time I was a child. I was 14 years old when we joined the Sea Org and signed our billion-year contract. You know, that doesn't even mean anything when you're 14 years old. You don't even know what you're going to be doing for the summer, let alone what you're going to eat for dinner when you're 14 years old. But I signed a billion-year contract. Somehow they got my mother to say it's okay. And I think my mom basically knew that life in Columbus, Ohio, as we had been living it, was not ideal. So this was a possible place for me to be that would be safe.
Yeah.
So from the frying pan into the fryers, in the Sea Org.
My thoughts exactly.
Yeah. So in the Sea Org, when you are first starting off, there's a lot of training, like you mentioned. It's really an indoctrination. It's probably filled with a bunch of lies. I've never really gone back and tried to see if all the stories that you're learning about were true. But it's exciting. And at the time, I was very excited to be part of it. I felt like I was joining the special ranks of humankind. I thought about my friends who were stupidly continuing school. You don't need school. And then they were planning on going to college. And oh my gosh, what a waste of time. And these are all things that I didn't create these thoughts. These thoughts were put into my head because I didn't have somebody to inspire me to go to college, to go to school. You know, the inspiration was to clear the planet. So what's what you did. I was on the EPF. You have a time frame. You have to finish the EPF in. I don't know if you remember that. If you don't, you get fitness boarded out. So I'm 14 years old and I'm reading material that is for an adult. It's super hard to get through study when I was in 9th grade. I never got to finish school. That was never part of the process. So right. Actually, I think I'd started 10th grade and then, yeah, because school started. So anyways, I was a 10th grader. I got a little bit of high school in Columbus, Ohio out of the way before joining. The days were spent just doing all the manual labor that was necessary at Flag. I did a lot of cleaning, a lot of renovations. The ballroom project continued on until it was finished. Those nights were really hard because I had dedicated myself to doing this and I knew I was going to help change the world and make it a better place. So that kind of is what kept me going.
Right.
I really didn't hang out with my sister. I never spoke to my mom I mean, I don't even know when my mom sent us a package for Easter. So that would have been April. And in it were clothes because we didn't really have clothes. These
Hmm.
things are not provided, weren't provided when I was in the Sea organization. It was a matter of, you better figure out how you're going to have black pants and a white shirt. And if you're lucky, you got a hand me down, which is what I got. And you're wearing the same, and this is really because we weren't wealthy. My family wasn't wealthy, and to get a package was pretty special. Unfortunately, mom sent a package with shorts that were cute for anybody else but a Sea Org member, because you don't have any time to wear shorts. I mean, when I'm going to wear shorts, I have to work all the time. So I'm working from Sunday to Sunday all day, and then studying in the evenings until 10 o'clock, and then it starts again. And there's musters. You have to be at musters where they call your name. If you aren't there, they will go hunt you down and find you, and then you are in trouble for not being at the muster for whatever reason. It could be that you don't feel good. Maybe it's that you just don't want to be there anymore, and they're going to find out what it is. As a kid, it's really hard to imagine what, I can lie as a kid, but this is a magnitude of reality that I am out of my comfort zone on lying, because as a kid I lied to just survive, I guess, is mostly. And my mom was going to the church every day. In Florida, I was recruited for the flag crew, and that's where I worked. In the beginning, I met Letty Helt. She was one of my best friends. I wish I knew how she was. She got married, and she was a good girl. Her father, I didn't know until later when I was working at a Scientology company, was Henning. And he was he was like a dad to me. He was really, really a nice guy for me. But when I joined Flag Crew, I just realized what I'd be doing all day is chicken picking the carpets, cleaning the galley, doing just the scrub work. And I didn't want to do that. Plus, I didn't really understand. I thought I just joined the Sea Org. I didn't know
Yeah.
I joined a org within the Sea Org. I thought I was in the Sea Org as a
Right.
general. Anyways, after doing my all my training, the Welcome to the Sea Org tapes, found out that L. Ron Hubbard had a special organization called the Commodore's Messenger Organization, and that's what I decided I wanted to be in that org. Plus, I noticed they got fed a little bit better. They had better birthing. Everything was a little bit better for the people that were in that organization. But it's a special higher level of qualification. So now the recruitment started changing, and I was basically ripped off out of Flag Crew, not replaced, by Wendy, the HCO chief in CMO-CW, and started on the CMO EPF. Now, the CMO EPF is a higher elevated expectation. You're going to be primed to go work directly for L. Ron Hubbard. And
Right.
I was happy to do it, whatever it was, because I really dug L. Ron Hubbard, and I fully believed that he knew how life should be, and that we had to change the world, and we had to save people from something, from the psych. I don't even know what it's like.
Yeah.
From what? From themselves, I guess. But so I did get recruited. That finished, and but I'm going through puberty at this time. So I mentioned the apparel. The CMO also has strict rules on what you could wear, and you had to wear light blue. It was a different outfit. We had a different uniform, I should say. And I was given a uniform, but I only had 2 shirts and 1 pair of pants, and I probably only had 1 pair of underwear and a bra, maybe. And
Unbelievable.
this is something to a reality that when you're in, you're not helped to, you have to figure it out. And when you're 15, 14, going through puberty, you're going to be dealing with things that are that girls deal with, and it's embarrassing. You don't have a mom, you don't have anybody to explain, why are you having terrible cramps? Cramps are a normal part of being a girl going through puberty, and you have your period. And when you're in dire pain from cramps, instead of helping you get sent to ethics because you're missing work, because you have to work. You don't have other options.
Right.
And anybody that's in the Sea Org, there's no way anybody could deny that is the priority. Your priority is to show up and work and learn and be indoctrinated. You indoctrinated yourself. You're like turning into some robot. You're becoming a better robot.
Yeah.
Moving this command intention forward from the Sea organization. So I got into the CMO and I was so excited, and I met Peter Grafton and Gerhard, and there's Pilar. She was these people were just magical to me, and I was very impressed by everybody, and I wanted to be like them, so I tried hard. We got our dress whites. I think I wore my dress whites every day, just because I didn't have anything else. But I have a picture I found of myself in my Sea Org uniform, which was a white skirt and a white shirt. I looked like a thrift store throw together. I mean, it was clearly not a uniform, but in my mind, I look good. I felt good.
Well, that's the main thing. How do you feel? You know what I mean? If you come right down to it.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of joy in your life at that point, you know?
Yeah, I was excited. I was sad my friends were not interested in hearing about my adventure in Columbus, Ohio. And I found out later that, they, amongst the circles of people I knew, that I was the one that got taken to the cult. They knew I was in a cult, like the kids talked to each other. But nobody really could do anything about it, obviously. And so, moving forward about a year, I was working as a CO's communicator in CMO-CW, and that was Cheryl DeChef. And I think I was her communicator. I made it through the EPF, and so I was her communicator for maybe a couple months, I think, if I remember. I there was an opening for TCO Continental's communicator at CMO Int. So this meant I would move up the chain of command, and everybody thought, oh, that's so exciting. You're so lucky. I felt so lucky to get to go to Int. And it was a mysterious place. Nobody could tell me where it was, because it was against the rules to discuss where Int is at the time. Now everybody knows where it is.
Yeah. But
not then. I mean, it was truly a secret because of the protection of the people that were hiding there. There were people hiding there. And I went through whatever qualifications to get me to Los Angeles. They put me on an airplane and flew me to Los Angeles. I couldn't tell my mom where I was going. Nobody in my life knew that where I was going to go was in California, was filled with other executives that I'd be working these long hours. And, you're working from 9 a.m. until midnight every day. And I think Saturday morning, I don't remember which day is it. One of the days we have CSP where we did our laundry and cleaned our berthing. White glove, by the way. It had to be cleaned to a white glove. Like somebody came with the white glove and wiped all through our dorms to make sure that we had done what we were supposed to do on cleaning. And by the way, you aren't provided cleaning supplies to clean your room. You have to get that yourself. And you don't have time off. There is something called Liberty, and you can ask for time off. You can write a CSW, but the circumstances are really tough to get time off. You have to have somebody that's willing to hold your job while you're gone. And everybody's already working 9 to 12. So how are they going to do your job? But some people are willing to do it. And when you get time off, usually, I know what I did. I slept. I just did nothing. It was just like, oh, finally I have some space. But up lines at CMO Int, it's a whole different picture. You get up, I got through the qualifications, which were a super deep security check, asking very personal questions. I have never had a boyfriend. I don't know about sex. I have no experience of perversions in the sexual world. I have no idea what they're talking, but I'm in a room with this person asking me over and over about, because something reads on an e-meter that's a perverted sexual encounter, and I don't have any experience in this. I don't even know what the man's body parts look like to even and it's embarrassing. You're 14 years old and you're talking about these things, and the e-meter reads, and it's supposed to be whatever you're thinking at the time, so you say what you're thinking at the time, but it's never gonna end. It's never gonna end until that needle floats. And
Yeah.
I don't personally believe it's like a lie detector, but it's a stupidity detector. It's telling me things that aren't real to me, and I'm saying them because that's what you have to do to get through this security check. You have to get them to just let you go. So I did it. Got up there. I had no friends in California at the bottom in PAC, and I had definitely no friends up the lines. And that's where it got really sucky. For me, I was Liz Ingber's communicator, and I did not know what I was doing. It's like a PA, I guess, is the best way to put it. I was doing whatever she needed me to do. I would do.
Wait a minute. When you say PA, you mean physician's assistant?
Sorry, personal assistant.
Oh, personal assistant.
Like a personal assistant.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, that's what it's like. In other words, you're doing things that she wants you to do. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was meaningless work. I was collecting compliance reports from all the continental organizations across the world of Commodore's messenger organizations. It's pretty boring. And then Liz got cancer. And when she got cancer, she was going to be sent down to Mexico. And she was completely upset about it. And I don't even think she was upset about getting cancer. I think what she was mostly upset about was that she wasn't going to be able to be on post. And so that meant that she couldn't work and she wasn't contributing, which then put her into a position amongst the eyes of everybody above her that she was an unethical person because she got cancer.
Oh, yeah. In other words, she pulled it in.
She pulled it in. Say.
Yeah. Anything that happens to you, if you were to find somebody that stabbed you 10 times, they wouldn't try to comfort you, and they would say, well, what did you do in a past life to pull it in?
It's so true. And
I wonder, hey, wait a minute. I wonder what the Church of Scientology did to pull me in. Here I am doing interviews. Yeah. And I'm in 50 countries. They must have pulled me in.
they
come on.
That's karma. You're helping make that happen. I mean,
yeah, I know. Yeah.
Hopefully, Karen once said to me, death by 1,000 cuts. And every story is going to be a little nick, nick. And I love that saying. I've remembered it ever since the day she told it to me. So I keep it in my mind. Back when Liz got cancer, then it was time to move my job because my job was basically disestablished. Now I'd have no boss.
Yeah.
She was my boss. So I got put into the Hubbard Communication Office of CMO International. This is like a coveted position or division to be in. In order to be in HCO, which is Hubbard's Communications Office, at least this is what I was told, you have to be a very highly qualified person. So you're lucky if you get to go into this position. Now HCO were the basically the enforcers of the policies in the organization.
Right.
And I was put on, my job was the hatting officer. They put me on post as the hatting officer. So my job was to make sure that every single person in the CMO and also I also had to handle executive strata, which was in the same building, Del Sol. I had to get everybody through their full hat. And we got ran every day on, I had to know what progress every single person made on their courses. They had to go to course every day. Everybody had to go to course 2.5 hours or auditing every day. The morning started off, some people studied in the morning, some people studied in the evening. And then every day I had to report how many people did what, like all these statistics, they were broken down and it was managed on an hourly basis. Sometimes if it was a down stat, you'd get managed on a minute to minute. I mean, I was just a kid and Lisa Schroer was my boss. She was ruthless. She's tough.
I'll tell you, she's one of the most ruthless people I've ever met in my life.
It's sad.
Oh yeah.
She doesn't have a kind bone in her body.
Nope.
And, her mother.
Boy, I'm going to tell you something. That's a perfect description of her. She didn't have a kind bone in her entire body.
She doesn't know how to be. But was she raised in Scientology? Is she a creation of Scientology? I don't know.
Probably because her mom was a Scientologist. She's probably second generation. But anyway, go
Yeah,
on.
Elaine. Yeah. Well, Elaine was like, Elaine was a savior to me. She was the person that cared about me a little bit. Somebody did. She was like a mom. Elaine Allen. I think, yeah, Lisa Allen, Lisa Schroer, Elaine Allen. Yeah, we're getting it all straight. So the micromanaging would happen on the weekends. We would do renovations. Now I was building a sound studio, probably the one that you probably recorded in.
It was the sound studio that I recorded in.
How was it? Was it good?
Fabulous. Yeah. I mean, there was points about it that shouldn't have been done that way. And L. Ron Hubbard wanted it be completely dead sound, which isn't necessarily the best way to do a recording. Some studios have hardwood floors and reflective walls, and it seems like you get a more pure sound out of that. So this was done so that there was completely dead, the carpeting all over. So then they would put the reverb or the things that would make the music sound better on after it was recorded. In other words, it
Oh,
wasn't done. Nothing was done when it was being recorded. It was dead, just like no echo at all. And then it would be altered to sound as if it were in a big hall or a small hall or whatever. It was done later. And
no
as great
surprise.
as that sounds, it wasn't really the best way to do it. That's my personal belief.
Nah, you do have some cred here in this department, that's for sure.
Yeah, I guess they do have some credibility.
You do.
Yeah,
Well, I remember going into the sound studio when it was finished, and I remember the baffles, learning about the baffles. So we
yeah,
were sewing baffles, and my room here could use some baffles. I could use some baffles, but that was a good idea. I thought
yeah,
that was a great idea.
yeah,
For sound to not bounce all over ricochet, that was a good idea. And I believed everything that I was taught about sound. So anything that you would have said, like if we would have had this conversation there, you would have been sent to ethics.
Oh, yeah. And you would have probably written me up.
I would have written you
Yeah,
up. It's
that's all right.
insane, the snitching culture, and that's why you don't have a friend, and you can't have any friends. And
No,
I did not have any friends. The schedule was grueling. We were doing these messenger training at the time and I thought, by the way, I really thought I was going to go up and work for L. Ron Hubbard. Like that was what I thought I was going to go do.
right,
I wanted to be what's called an M on D, a messenger on duty. And
right.
all of the girls that I saw and the guys that I saw, Frank Fenn, um, Lisa Martiniano, oh, Maureen, I think it's Bolstad now.
Yeah, Maureen Bolstead. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was like M on D MO. So I would dream about M on D SA because that was my last name, Alvarez, at the time. So I was going to be M on D SA. I was so excited. And then you have these women and men that were like, well, they were goddesses and gods to me. Janice Gillum. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, she doesn't even know the impact. If anything she would have said to me, I would have been puff. I would have been gone. Thank goodness there was no interaction because
Yeah.
they were held up on pedestals because they got to work for L. Ron Hubbard. I thought I was going to get to work for L. Ron Hubbard, and so we did. I did get put through even more indoctrination to show up and be there. For example, there were these messenger TRs, and we were forced to do them, whether or not you wanted to. And I remember clearly Cliff Woods. Cliff Woods was probably what, 6'8". He was this huge guy. He was a black guy, and he and I were partnered to do these twinned up. And I had to come into the room and relieve him of duty. So I walk in and I say, he says, my relief is here, sir. And you're talking to L. Ron Hubbard, right? You're all imagining this is all like role playing.
Yeah.
And I say, reporting for duty, sir. And I'm supposed to keep myself, my TRs in keep in good.
Keep focused.
Stay focused. Well, I flunked because he hit me over the head. He hit me on the side of the head with a newspaper when I said, reporting for duty, sir. And he whacked me on the side of the head with a newspaper. And I mean, is that really, like, at the first time it happened, I'm like, that's not really going to happen, is it? I mean, I'm not going to really get hit in the head with, like, L. Ron Hubbard's going to hit me in the head with a newspaper? That doesn't even seem possible. But I had to keep doing this until I didn't flinch when I was hit with the newspaper. And that's how it works. That's messenger TRs for me. Now, maybe it didn't happen for anybody else, but it was for
Yeah.
me. And I'm a scrub at the base, Ron. I'm
Yeah.
a nobody. I don't have friends. I definitely don't hang out with the elite that are there. Even to today, people they don't know me. I mean, I think I know them more from being out, from the people that are gone. I've had more conversations with people out, but at the time, I would never have been able to communicate to you because
Yeah.
that's just, they keep us apart. And they also kept, my sister was uplines also. She was at Gold.
Right.
And so I have one family member within, I don't even know what the radius of the base is. And I can't spend time with my one family member because we're working. We're working. So I hated it enough to devise a plan, a plot to leave. And it was a scary thought to have because, you were even checking yourself on how you're thinking because they've told you if you think certain ways that you're unethical. And if
Right.
you become told that you're unethical, there's gradients that you'll be handled. Like I did, earlier, I think I said I didn't want to be in the RPF ever. Like I would do whatever it would take. I wouldn't be in the RPF. I never wanted to be thought of as that low because they were thought of as the degraded people, these guys in the RPF.
Yeah.
Even though they're dedicating their entire life, they're working round the clock, probably in
Yeah.
3 hours of sleep, doing stupid things to make the world better.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm really interested in how you planned your escape. I know about it, but I think our audience would love to hear that because that's a hell of a story about the van and stuff like that.
I know it. I was there.
Yeah.
I
Could
did
we
it.
get into that now?
Sure. Hopefully I
Yeah.
could, it won't be a cliffhanger if we have to hang up or anything, but
Well, no, we're not going to hang up. I'd like to continue on with this. So
okay.
let's see if we can get this whole story in because two cliffhangers, your audience might not be able to take it. I'm joking.
Okay. Yeah, I know. This could be a movie. We never know.
Yeah.
They could make a movie out of all the people that have escaped and how they've escaped.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Easily.
That would be a good series. Like each person has an amazing story, but I'll tell you mine. Really, really scary. I was a kid, 15 years old. I'm taken to a place that I don't even know where I am. So I'm in the middle of the desert. It's dark. There's one road that goes through the base. And in order to get to your food at the MCI, I had to go from Del Sol down a hill, down a path. I had a security card, which I swiped in there was one door on one side of the freeway, and then you had to go across the freeway, and then you had to swipe to get into the other door.
Yeah.
Or you go all the way down to the guard shacks. There were guard shacks on either end of the base to get in and out without going through one of these three ways. Those are the three ways that I knew of to get
Right.
off the base. And plus, I don't have a car because I don't drive, and I don't have a license. So I'm really dependent on everybody there and the systems that are in place there. So there's one system that I knew of because I had a Liberty and I went to Los Angeles, and you have to get on it's called the IEC run. It's the run.
Right.
And it's a white van. It's a church van, purposely made to look very vanilla so it would blend into traffic because we were all neurotic and scared we were going to get caught. It's just like these things I think like they thought this out. So but if you flip it and you look at it like, wait a second, you only had 3 places in and out to get in and out, and you're like being kidnapped up and down from the place as a kid. I
Right.
don't know where I am. Anyways. So I devised a plan to escape through the IEC van, and I had CSW'd 2 weeks before because I knew you have to have your stats up to leave, and I CSW'd to leave the base to see my father. I said my father was coming into Los Angeles and I needed to be down there. At the same time, I said I had an eye appointment to go to. 2 things we didn't have there. We did have a medical liaison officer, but I had to pick something that she wouldn't be able to solve, and that is getting my eyes checked. So they weren't going to. So I knew that I had to create this plan and get it approved through. I think. Do you remember if CSWs had to go all the way up to the CO?
I don't remember. I can't say that I rightly know that. I know it had to go through HCO, obviously.
Hmm. Yeah, so I'm in HCO, so I CSW'd up to get this day off. Takes about a week, by the way, to get your CSWs back. Like you never know, you can't just go the next day. You can't have something and go. It's
Right.
never like that. Everybody has to be approving your plan. And if you're going on vacation, you have to go through a security check to make sure that where you're going isn't going to be filled with any suppressive people.
Now, I want to tell you something in relationship to a CSW. And this, you're going to hear, this is the height of something that is so ludicrous, you think Monty Python wrote it. And I'll tell you what it was. My brother died, and his son, Gerard, called me and said, Uncle Ron, Dad died. Now, he died. I go to HCO to tell him I'm going to go to the funeral and the wake. And Gerald, who's an ethics officer, said, well, you have to get a security check before you go. I said, are you out of your mind completely? Do you think I arranged for my brother to die so I could escape? And he says, no, well, it's just a short one. But if I had submitted to that, I would have missed the funeral and everything. I would have been there for another 2 or 3 days. In their minds, they thought they were doing the absolute correct thing. That's the dangerous thing about a Scientologist who's been in a long time. All of these ludicrous, non-survival actions are justified in their mind. Finally, it was David, my son, who got me off, and I just left the next morning. But I was going to be kept there for probably 2 or 3 days to do a security check so I could go to visit my brother, who would have been probably buried by then. And so I can understand when you say it's so hard to get a CSW approved. You're right, and I have my own personal experience. So it took you, yeah.
Yeah, it is. You have to plan. If you think you're going to do something, you have to plan ahead and get everybody's agreement that it's okay for you to go do it. You write a letter, they read your letters. You can't just write a letter and it's leaving the base.
No.
It gets read by somebody else. Security reads your letters in, security reads the letters out. You have no place to make phone calls if they're not listening. You are watched at all times by security guards that are placed up on the mountain or at the base, the guard gates.
Yeah.
You're at musters they are what you accounted for. You have 30 minutes to eat. You have musters 3 times a day, so they know that you're there. It's not set up to be productive. It's set up to control people and to make sure that you don't do anything that they don't want you to do.
That's right. And now I've changed my mind.
What's that?
This escape was so brilliant, it almost didn't work except for the saying of one person who helped her to execute her plan. If you tune in to the next episode with Sarita, you're going to find out what the escape was and who that person was and the possible consequences that he suffered for helping her escape.
Unknowingly.
Poor guy. I know. That's as far as we're going to do it.
Okay.
And you're going to come back and we're going to do part 3 because I got to admit, the escape and all the nervousness and trying to pull it off, that was something to almost be on the thing of its own.
Okay.
So,
I'm with you.
Yeah, let's do that. And I'll tell you, I'm so glad you come on. And I enjoy hearing your story because it's not totally unlike other stories, but it has its own uniqueness because you're a young kid and you got railroaded into doing this and with no choice on your own part. Yeah. And I appreciate you doing this. And I say thank you to Karen for giving me this guest. Well, she didn't give you to me. She introduced us. All right.
She did a good job. Well, she's an inspiration to a lot of people to tell the story and and to know that it's safe to tell your story. Today, all this crap that happened to me, it doesn't, I guess I can't have that stop me from surviving and living my life. So, but to know that I wasn't imagining what happened to me, because when you're in it and you're a kid, it's hard to tell you, like, you don't really have another comparison. Like when you're a kid, if you're born into it and you're living it, there is no, I don't know how to
No,
explain.
in other words, you can't compare it to something you've already experienced and
Because I
to know
didn't.
what you're. Yeah, I know. Okay, good. Well, listen, you're going to come back for part 3.
I'll be back. I'll be back.
I appreciate you doing this, and I want to thank everybody for viewing this. Again, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe, touch the bell, and if you want to contribute to the program, go to my website, therealronmiscavige.com, where you could become a patron or you could do a one-time donation with PayPal. Anyway, that's it for this week, and thanks again. I am Ron Miscavige. This has been Life After Scientology. I'll see you on the next one. We want to say goodbye to everybody, Sarita?
Peace out. Thank you.
Okay.
Don't join. Don't join.
Good. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. See you on the next one.